What's up, Police Sports Gamer here, and I got a video on the PGA Tour. But first, I would really appreciate a like on this video, a subscription, and a comment. But a like would be best. I had to do a video on the PGA Tour and Jay Monahan, the commissioner, because of the hypocrisy. And I want to get to this article to prove how hypocritical PGA Tour is, especially with Jay Monahan. So here's the article. Jay Monahan, golf's largest hypocrite, backstabs PGA Tour players amid LIV golf merger. PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan sold out pure and simple. The man who defended his tour, the same man who loathed and lambasted the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour, went behind the scenes and struck a deal with Public Investment Fund, the benefactor of LIV. Since LIV Golf's inception, the PIF have invested almost $1 billion into LIV Golf, the startup league. LIV Golf is part of PIF's Vision 2030 plan to drive Saudi Arabia's economic transformation through active long-term investments and high standard of governance and transparency. The PIF has more than $600 billion in assets, according to Bloomberg. Again, this is hypocritical because certain tour players were lured by the Saudi money, and I did a video, my Rory McIlroy video, that backed some of these comments that dealt with LIV Golf. And I just want to defend like a Phil Mickelson who is 52 and at the end of his PGA life, basically, why wouldn't he take $200 million just to play golf, less rounds, less weeks? Anyone who was in his shoes would take that money. It's not like he's living in Saudi Arabia, and it's not like no one else has taken Saudi money before. The US government is basically paying the Saudis. Has anyone come against them? We could produce energy here, but instead this administration is paying the Saudis to buy their oil. Anyone complaining about that besides some people? Like the Brooks Koepkas, the Dustin Johnsons. I really don't mind that they're taking the money to play less golf, less weeks. Like, why wouldn't you? But Jay Monahan, when people did that, when these golfers left the PGA Tour to go to LIV, circled the big-time players, the Tiger Woods, the Rory McIlroys, and other players to go against the LIV players, to speak lowly of them, to basically call them traitors for taking Saudi money. Could you blame these players for taking the money? I guarantee you anyone out there would take the money, even from Saudi. How many people have taken Chinese money in this world, going up to the most powerful person in the world, taking their money? So I don't think anyone can complain about taking Saudi money. Yes, they've done awful things. They're awful dictators. They treat the people awfully, but you can't blame these players from taking the money. Everyone takes money in the world, no matter where it comes from. They take Ukraine money, they take Russian money, they take Chinese money, they take Saudi money, they take Venezuelan money, they take any money that could have it. So you can't blame these players. Mostly at the twilight of their career or their playing days are dwindling. They're going to take this huge payday. And I guarantee you, now that there's a merger, that all these other players who didn't take the money are regretting it because they got nothing. And while these other players have got hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's see the hypocrite in action, Jay Monahan of the PGA Tour, with this sentence. After 2 years of disruption and distraction, this is a historic day for the game we all know and love. This transformational partnership recognizes the PGA Tour's history, legacy, and pro-competitive model, and combines it with the DP World Tour and LIV, including the team golf concept, to create an organization that will benefit golf players, commercial and charitable partners, and fans. A historic day, more like a historic sellout and a historic surprise. Hypocrisy at the finest right here. He told all his players to complain about these players taking Saudi money, be in the LIV tournament, and now he turns around and takes their money and says his historical day because of it. I can't believe he hasn't resigned. I know we got another article, which I'm not going to show you, but he's having medical issues. Yeah, he's having medical issues, just giving an excuse why he's going to step down as commissioner of the PGA, which I think is going to come probably soon, because these players who stayed in the tour are probably not going to play for a commissioner that would do this to them. It's outrageous and disgrace with the PGA commissioner, Jay Monahan. I could tell you no one in this hemisphere of golf really saw this coming. Todd Lewis, a veteran golf journalist. This seems to me From the people I've talked to and the sources I've talked to, just a handful of people put this together. Considering previous remarks from the PGA Tour Commissioner, this is unbelievable news. When Rory McIlroy won the Canadian Open in dramatic fashion a year ago, Monahan made a rare appearance on a CBS broadcast alongside Jim Nantz. He said, "I would ask any player who has left or any player who is considering leaving, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour?" Like you hear like Phil Mickelson apologizing for taking Saudi money, trying to keep his relations with the PGA Tour and the players. So where's your apology for taking Saudi money? I don't think so. He's lined his pockets with money from Saudi Arabia, and he's happy to do so, which is like a stab in the back with all the PGA Tour players that refuse to take their money. Exactly a year later, Monahan should apologize to its members of the tour. He left them in the dark. Nobody saw this news coming. The guys who stood loyal to the PGA Tour, it's kind of a kick in the teeth for them. Obviously, Rory is a huge advocate for the PGA Tour. Now it is looking like all his hard work and sticking up for the tour has been left by the wayside. McIlroy, a LIV dissident and a staunch PGA supporter, spent months vehemently arguing against LIV and everything it stood for. Yet Tuesday's news signifies that Monahan took the wind out of McIlroy's sails. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall of McIlroy when he heard the news that the PGA merged with LIV and took Saudi money. Oh man, that would have been a sight to behold. After all the sticking up for the PGA Tour members and bashing all the people who LIV all through the months, all of a sudden his beloved PGA Tour commissioner did the same. Poor Rory. I know he had a good tournament in the US Open, but I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for the tour players who did not take the money. We got a Shane Bacon tweet. Hearing from multiple PGA Tour players, they had absolutely zero heads up before this announcement was made on social. Nothing like finding out through Twitter that we're merging with a tour that we said we would never do with a Canadian golfer, Mackenzie Hughes. Colin Moriaka found out news on Twitter too. So did Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson, two LIV players that celebrated the announcement. That's another thing. He just did it behind people's backs. He went in secret with talks with the Saudi Arabia and did this behind people's backs. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why he was doing this. He said that the PGA Tour couldn't afford the litigation to fight against the LIV Tour, which is BS. The PGA Tour makes so much money through advertisements and all these events. Jay Monahan made tens and tens of millions of dollars a year, and he said he couldn't afford it, so he goes behind people's backs and makes this deal, stab in the back of every PGA Tour player that fought against this, that did not go take the money. And I'll finish off with this paragraph. Although Mickelson knew this, he still went forward with LIV, noting that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape how the PGA Tour operates. And it worked. Players went to LIV, and PGA Tour made rules changes, increased the purses per tour event, made it so the star players would play in a bulk of tournaments. They made positive changes for the PGA Tour players just because players like Mickelson and Koepka and Dustin Johnson left for the LIV. It was a positive impact to the PGA, and now this happens. Consequently, Monahan suspended anyone who left the tour to get money with the LIV in 2022. Tuesday's news immediately ends that declaration, as LIV golfers can now reapply for membership on the PGA Tour. Indeed, men's professional golf will look much different in the future, perhaps more what Greg Norman envisioned in the 1990s, a global golf league similar to the World Tennis Tour. Norman, a CEO of LIV Golf, has criticized the PGA Tour over the years. His roles in the future entity remains to be seen. In the end, this is positive news for the PGA Tour and LIV, for them to merge with the DP Tour. As Norman would state, this is going to be a global game now, where players can play anywhere in the world they want, as many tournaments as they want, because it's all one tour now. And golf money involved is going to explode for all these players. And if Jay Monahan stays, it'll be for him too. But I'll end this, that Jay Monahan should resign, because what he did against the players of the PGA Tour should not happen anywhere. They should not go behind people's backs, especially when they defended you so vehemently. So Jay Monahan should resign, and golf will be stronger because of this merger. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm right with this? Please comment below and like this video. Thanks. See ya.